morning, everyone, and welcome to the Man United Agenda. I hope that you are all doing extremely well. And tonight, I'm a very lucky little sausage because I'm joined by Amonde Juma from that fabulous little house that he's got there. I do love the aesthetic so much, Amonde, of your house. I think it's really, really nice. It's very welcoming.
Thank you very much. You know, it's spring. And you have to make a change, freshen things up. And we have got a new sofa, got a new shelf. Got a new shelf from IKEA yesterday for record shelf because I'm getting more and more records now. So it's just like getting out of control. And a couple of plants as well. It's really lovely in here. And I'll give you a tour with the camera one day. But it's looking really good. It's looking really good. Do you want me to give you a quick tour with the camera, guys?
Yeah, go on. Let's right. But do it like Cribs.
All right. What's the guy's name in Cribs? The rapper.
Wasn't it Westwood, or was that the one with cars?
Yeah, Westwood did one, but there's another guy. Wasn't it?
Exhibit.
Yeah, Exhibit.
He did Pimp My Ride.
Oh yeah, you're right. So who's the one that did Through the Keyhole?
Lloyd Grossman. He does acceptable pasta sauces now.
All right, I'm gonna just
Who lives in a house like this?
So obviously, this is my face close up. But we don't want to do that. So here is the draft we got from South Africa. 7-foot draft, taller than me. Here's all the kit, the records. This is where the magic happens. And as you look along here, you can see the records stretch along down the car. But we got a new shelf right here. And here are the doggies and a new sofa. As you can see, there you go. And the doggies having fun with squeaky toys, which will annoy us if we do it during the show. And lots of plants. So it's looking really nice in here. It's really changed a lot. I'm really happy with it. What do you guys think at home of my new abode? Spice things up, because in spring clean you got to have a fresh start, isn't it? Because spring is like the new year, isn't it? Bath time.
Is it?
In a lot of cultures, yeah. The 1st of April around that time is like a new year. That's why I have the financial year. It's basically the new year for me. So freshen up, spring clean, feeling good.
Well, I laughed, but when you mentioned your sofa, because is that the day that you had to spend all day inside waiting for a sofa? Claire had said that you were able to help with the show because a sofa might turn up.
Well, what happened is I know a guy. It's typical guys who owns a van man. So I called him up, and he helped me with so many times over the last 6, 7, 8 years, moving. But one thing with him, he's always late, and I'm unreliable. So we had booked a sofa to come at 12 o'clock, between 12 and 4 or something. So we said to him, can you come before 12 to get rid of the old sofa? And what do you know? It doesn't come till 8 o'clock that night. So I had 2 sofas in here. That's why I couldn't do the show, I think, because I couldn't even walk into the living room with 2 sofas there. It was just crazy. But that's how it goes.
All right. Good stuff. Should we see who we've got in the comments tonight? Well, first of all, we got Stephanie Griffiths, and she's bigging everyone up, and we're bigging her up. And all the way, the fighting pride of Alabama, Detroit, Michigan.
Detroit is the fighting city. Detroit is where my favorite boxers come from. James Toney, Floyd Mayweather,
James Murphy, RoboCop, keeping the streets clean.
Oh, was RoboCop from Detroit?
He certainly was, Amonde.
Oh, there you go. You don't get no badder than that, do you?
No, God, I wish they'd bring RoboCop back. I love that film so much.
Murphy,
Murphy. I think it's such a good film. And then we got Andy in the house. We've also got Simon Warner. Greeting all. Hope you had a good weekend and had a good laugh at Liverpool and Arsenal losing. I didn't have a laugh about that. We got played off the park by Bournemouth. We got no room to laugh at anyone. I kind of agree, Andy. We got DK Wilson saying hello to people. Once again, another match which we bottled. Yes. We've got Rebel talking about rumours that have a clause in their contracts that require they play compensation if they aren't played when available. Okay, I haven't heard that. We have Simon Warner saying Luton beat Bournemouth and Luton are near the relegation. And we, United, a big side, can't beat them. It's embarrassing. And DK Wilson is saying cozy on Monday. Oh God, we got this guy. But who is Scamacca? Is he?
Where was at West Ham, wasn't he? And went back to Italy. He's playing for Atalanta now. And scored a brace against Liverpool. So everyone's like, "Oh, he's good."
Yeah. Right. I'm already. RoboCop is atrocious.
How dare you?
Dear, oh dear, Andrew. That is, I mean, I consider that blasphemy, as RoboCop is essentially the story of Jesus. All right, Yale, I'd forgotten that we drew to Bournemouth. Why did you bring it up again? Good day to you as well. Hope you had a good weekend. The cherry, get it, cherry, on top of mine was Bournemouth Spirited Display. Andrew watched it 3 weeks ago. It's a brilliant film, Andrew. I love RoboCop. Like, I also really like Starship Troopers, by the same director.
Oh, really? Same director, is it?
Yeah. So, well, it's very similar. It's very similar. You know that I could buy that for $1, and the sort of like inserts that they have of future capitalism. Like in Starship Troopers, it's kind of like future fascism, essentially. And I quite like the world building around it all. Paul Verhoeven.
Okay.
But I would be very, very happy to turn this into a RoboCop review. But we've got
your move, creep.
Yeah. I love it. It's like a sort of like a space western, like the spirit of a murdered sheriff comes back from the dead.
Imagine the trailer back in the 80s explaining all that. You'd have to go. That's why we went to watch the movie.
Well, interestingly, the trailer back in the 80s used the Terminator theme for RoboCop. Yeah. Because I watched it quite a good. Right, Simon, I'm going to disagree with you strongly here, because RoboCop 3 was the first one that I saw, and RoboCop flies around like with the RoboCop music. It's incredible, and he fights samurai robots for some reason. I watched it when I was younger, but right. Enough about RoboCop. Okay, so this is what we're going to do today, gang. I had a hot chocolate earlier and I fell asleep, and I don't want to do the eye test because I think our season is over, and the eye test is really complicated to do. Like, there's just no point, because we all saw what's going wrong, like at United. So we're going to start off with a bit of a news roundup, and then we are going to talk about strikers, and we're going to talk about strikers quite in depth. So in the comments, what I think would be good today is if you begin to think about a top striker. Okay.
I can name one. Arthur Scargill.
Okay. You're talking about the miners there on Monday. Good one. Shout out to Durham. But like, I want you to think about a top striker and a good striker. And sort of have some names ready, and we'll sort of talk about that a little bit towards the end. And Harley, this is a good one, actually. Is Darius still in his juvenile, postmodern, ironic phase? I actually, Andrew, I'll tell you something, right? I actually hate postmodernism because it's about deconstruction, and I like integration. But yeah, I mean, like one of the films that I really like in recent years has been Meg 2, because Jason Statham is on jet ski with a sword fighting a dinosaur shark. So that's the kind of level of film that I like.
Crazy. That is typical 80s style. I watch. Is there how many Megs are there? Because I watched one
2.
the other day. All right, that's the one I'm complaining about. Yeah, it got ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's like what do you call these B movies?
Yes.
Yeah, it's similar to that. And then I realized the joke's on me while I'm going, this is trash. I have to enjoy it for what it is. They're taking them pee.
I genuinely enjoyed Meg 2 more than Oppenheimer. I'll be completely honest. I like absurdity, and silliness and stuff like that. So I don't like it when films take themselves too seriously. But anyway, right. Okay. So now, This is part of the news. Yarley's right, is that a lot of the news today has been about Mark Goldbridge and the United stand. I'm not particularly interested in talking about all of that because it's just not. I don't think it's got anything to do with Manchester United. It's part of the circus around United, but we do have to kind of talk about it. So I'm going to bring up some stuff. All right. First of all, Garnacho at the weekend after he was subbed, and that there were suggestions that that Ten Hag, well, the inferences that Ten Hag had criticised him in the press conference. Rob Dawson reported that United are fine, that Alejandro Garnacho has backed away from a potential row with Ten Hag after liking social media posts which came from Mark Goldbridge in the United stand. However, Garnacho still will be punished by Ten Hag. On Monday, we saw Mr. B's boy Sancho essentially like ejected from the club for his actions on social media. Is this double standards here? Is this a storm in a teacup? Is this Ten Hag out of control, in control? What are your feelings?
I just think it's a standard thing with Ten Hag. He's come into the club. He realises there's a repair job going on, and he wants to have some good standards, and he set that from the start. Now, people can pull him up and say, "Oh, you're being inconsistent. One rule for one, double standards." You know, you're sacking Sancho, but you're keeping Rashford or whatever. But the bottom line is, he's got to take action against every little action. There's a reaction, and there has to be a reaction to what happened, whatever it is, whether it's was it Belfast nightclub, whether it's refusing to apologise, whether it's to go into Piers Morgan, whether it's going and liking a tweet which sort of suggests that you're upset with the manager for coming off the pitch or something when you've been playing a lot of games this season and you should be backing the manager. So I think you said recently, you said a few times, Bath time, about you're a bit concerned about Garnacho, about standards and discipline and professionalism. And there you go. You're prophetic again with, something happening. It's happened. I don't think it's a big deal. I just think this is what I have a discussion at work just before I come to the show. And the discussion was about a certain player that's not with us anymore. Still, he's on the books, but he's playing in Spain. And we were both saying he's very good. We think he should be, if footballers alone, he should be in the side and come back. But you cannot, because there's pressures from the media and everything else. So I do think that if you're looking at just football side of things, I think we could bring back a few players. But there's standards. People be moaning and groaning. There's a lot of pressure, isn't there? That if Ten Hag doesn't deal with this, then he's going to look soft. If he does deal with it, they're going to say he's a tyrant. You understand what I'm saying? So I think Nacho's a superstar in the making, but he needs lessons. He needs to slap sometimes. As me and Bath time discussing backstage before we started the show about disobedience and people being rude on the pitch. And Bath time was saying he doesn't have it. He pulled people up after the game about it. Why would you do that? Because you want standards at the club. And the same with Ten Hag. He's come into the Man United Football Club, realised, done his review, said, okay, obviously a problem here. Managers being let down and all this kind of thing. Let me change the culture of the club by putting some rules in place, the commandments of Ten Hag, and he's following them up. And it's just another example of it. Don't make a big deal out of it. Garnacho needs to learn that was unprofessional. He shouldn't do that, and he should just apologise, and we move on. Simple as that.
Yeah, and you're allowed to say Greenwood, by the way, on Monday. Like he's not like Voldemort or something like that. You can mention his name.
It's like Fawlty Towers. Don't mention the war. Shh. No one's allowed to mention Greenwood anymore because it's like he's cursed. The boy's cursed. What about forgiveness? So the same applies to Garnacho. What about forgiveness? Let's forgive him. Let's forgive Sancho if he deserves. Forgiveness. Fans.
I think you're on a hard one. Monday, you're on a very hard one here to ask forgiveness for Sancho and Greenwood.
Look, people. The thing is, with these players, they're young. They make mistakes. Okay, some people go and get jail terms for certain things, and it's supposed to be rehabilitation. And we're supposed to accept them back in society as your neighbor and say, don't worry if you've done that in the past, or go for a job. Here's your CV. Oh, you've been in jail, have you? I'm not going to give you a chance. You got to give people a chance. People turn a life around. I'll say something quickly because it's serious to me, right?
Yeah.
The other day, and it's touching to me. I've worked in the same job for 20 years, or 18 years, basically. I'm a support worker. I support young people to develop and get life skills so they can go out in the world and become better people. People who come from social care, from all care leavers, people being homeless, people got issues, all this kind of thing. I've dealt with thousands of people in my community, all right? And I have standards to set. So I'll give you 2 examples. The other day, a young man came to me who's my friend now, and he was with us about 15 years ago. He's gone on now to be fantastic. He's got a new job, earning about 50 grand at the airport. But he also does great stuff. He's got his own studio where he does productions. He's an actor. He's a great family man. Puts me to shame. You know, he's become my really good friend and someone I really admire. But he loves me because something I installed in him a long, long time ago. And he's gone on to be a better man. He came to visit me, as he does when he's in the area, and bigs me up and nearly brings me to tears because he says, if it wasn't for you, you know, because he went to prison and he came out and he's been given a chance. He's taken his chance to develop his life. Okay. So I'm coming from a school like that. And the other side of that, twice now in the last few days when I've been at work, there's another young man who also was living with us. I was supporting. He's on the street now as a CRACK head, right? And up and down asking for money. He saw me the other day and he's walking. I'm walking through town. It's where I work. There's a lot of those sort of people there. He comes up to me. He says, "Zach, how you doing, man? How you doing? Oh, I always look at you and think to yourself, you always walk through town and you're always consistent and you always do this and I really respect you." And he said, "Oh, by the way, can you lend me some money? Not for that, but for food."
Yeah.
I said, "No." Okay. I said, "Please, brother, don't sort yourself out, you know." But it just shows you the contrast. People deserve a second chance. So you got on one hand, someone got a second chance, went to prison, come out of prison and turned his life around, got a great family man, wicked job, bought a house outside London now, doing really well. The other guy deserves a second chance, but now he's on his face and he's lost and he's complete CRACK head. People deserve forgiveness and love. That's what I'm saying here. So I'm not being too harsh on people, especially footballers who got it all. People make mistakes, you know? So that's where I come from. That's my background. I'll give you my background. That's what I'm about. And I have to work with people like that, you know? So if I was to be so stubborn and say, no, that's it, you're tarnished or whatever, I wouldn't, you know, I wouldn't be a good person. Even this CRACK head, I show him love. I spud him, look after him, but I don't give him money. I give him love, advice, and good things to do. That's it.
Okay, good. I am a bad person, and I don't want Greenwood back at my club.
Fair enough.
Right. Right. Now you finish your rant about society. Let's move back to football. Andrew, the baldy, incompetent Muppet just makes things up as he goes along. This is referring to the sort of like the roughshod approach that we have from Ten Hag. Bilal has said that Garnacho is a better player. Ten Hag has said nothing untoward about Garnacho. This is referring to the press conference. The non-punishment of Rashford has caused a reaction. I kind of agree with this. I think that I'm not going to lie. When I'm super disciplined, right? When I was younger, I wasn't, and I've done things a bit similar to Rashford. And I'd be very surprised if there's anyone here who hasn't missed a day at work or has turned up at work, after a night out or something, and things like that kind of happen. But the difference is that Rashford lied. He lied about it, and I think that means that there should be a bigger punishment. You should come clean, because no one will deny that every once in a while someone turns up not in a good state at work because of things they're doing in their private life.
Yeah.
Like I have, I've been drunk at training once or twice because I stayed out all night, but I was at 19. And to be honest, I had a great time. Garnacho could be left with a fine or suspended for, say, 2 weeks, but that's my opinion. I think that's a good idea, actually. or just take his Twitter account away from him. Like, I often think Garnacho's brother is going to be a real issue someday because he's very active on social media.
Okay.
Can United afford to sideline Garnacho now? I think we can, because the season's over and it's just about the FA Cup now. Like, so I think we can. Garnacho presumably liked the tweet on the plane home while sitting next to Rashford, who was just banging away tequila slammers. I hope he does his celebration after each one.
What, shot and then
Yeah.
Oh dear.
Ten Hag just bullies the young players. Let the old heads who are there just for their pension get away with anything.
So it seems.
Kind of, yeah. That might be a reaction to how it all went down with Ronaldo, I guess. Garnacho is needed on the pitch. We have enough injury problems. And George Carl, I think of Greenwood like the Scottish play. He's referring to Macbeth on Monday because I believe that actors think it's bad luck to mention Macbeth for some reason. I've no idea why. We still need Pastor Fred if we're looking for forgiveness on Monday. Lots of comments about Greenwood that I can't show. We want Garnacho focused on his football. We have Coventry next. And then look at this, George. He got an award for perfect attendance this year. Congratulations, George. And we got Damien Walsh, Drayton Manor's finest, in the house. And we've got Yale Marmin. Remember, Ahmad is in the same boat as Garnacho. The stuff he did on social media as well. If they suspend these players, we will be without Anthony, Garnacho, and Ahmad. Yeah, not many players left. This is referring to Ahmad posted a picture of himself with an emoji of his mouth zipped, suggesting that there were, well, people have read into it, saying that there are things going on. I just wish that these children would just stop running around like teenage girls on Twitter and things, and just act a bit more responsibly. It's like bloody Mean Girls out there. Andrew, I haven't had a sick day since 2006.
Wow.
Yeah, but Andrew, I don't believe for 1 minute that you haven't had a late night and come to work a little bit like less than 100%. Anyway, what else have I got for the stories? All right, Boy Likes tweet, and apparently it's been dealt with. Like Garnacho, unlike the posts, I really like the idea of Ten Hag standing over him, watching him unlike them on his phone. And then look, Andrew's saying fair point, lol. I mean, like, actually, DK, I believe, I'm not sure, but I think you were a professional tennis player. Have you ever like had a late night before a practice session or something like that? Because I mean, one day out in New Zealand, did you ever?
Woo!
Yeah, good.
Can't go there.
Yeah.
I was raggo.
Yeah.
Raggo. I could tell you some stories, man, but I won't, because this is a long time ago and I've been forgiven.
Yeah, I'll tell you a story, right? Which is that in Latin America, so everyone remembers in World Cup, I think '94, Maradona got banned, like from the World Cup. Right, it wasn't for coke. It was for a pill that you can get like legally prescribed in Latin America, and it's essentially a really gentle form of methamphetamine. And when we were out in Chile, our coach used to give us these pills, and you could do whatever you wanted. Like, it didn't matter how tired you were. You took one of them pills, and you were right off it. Like on it was like an extra 10% boost. I think it was why I got so much better at football. And these pills were fantastic. You could turn out after a night out, take one of these pills, and then bang it in training. I loved it. And I also love Rush Manu, who's gifted 5 Man United membership. Thank you so much, Rush.
Thank you.
That's incredibly kind. And the thing is it's also completely unnecessary. Like, all we really want is for you to sit here and participate in the community and think that your time is well spent. But that generosity is fantastic. So,
Rush Mano is so cool, man. I tell you, that guy is really generous, and
yeah,
we appreciate it. Regard, I know you're saying it's not, you don't do it, but We appreciate it. Thank you so much. And
no, I'm never telling a man how to spend his money, but it's just that I that's fantastic, Rush. Thank you so much. And DK Wilson, no, believe it or not, I was also too young to drink and never liked the taste of alcohol. You come on a training session with me on a Monday. We'll get you going. And then Rushmano is saying, "You're welcome, lads. Thank you very much." And Rushmano is you're a match going fan, I believe, Rush. Tell us about the relationship between the sort of match going fans and players on the pitch at the moment, because it's getting really bad out there. And there was another comment I really like this. Bender like Beckham FC. She's a funny girl, Stephanie Griffiths.
She is for sure.
Okay, now I titled this show Ten Hag in Control because all the PR that is coming out is very pro Ten Hag. So there is a United account on Twitter called United Insider, and it is definitely someone connected with the club because of the of how good the sources are about injuries. And over the weekend, he reported that Anthony wasn't injured and that it was a bust-up had happened between him and Ten Hag. Apparently, this isn't the case, and Anthony and Ten Hag are fine. This is coming from Rob Dawson, but I think it's very interesting that the club and the PR department is completely behind Ten Hag at the moment. I thought today we were going to get player leaks about things that had gone on in training, fights, all that kind of stuff. And instead, what's coming out of the club is essentially quite harmonious. All right. 2 bits of transfer news. Jeremy Frimpong is going to be coming in, apparently, for 34 million, which would be a bit of a bargain. But also shout out to the new Bundesliga champions. Wonderful stuff. And Casemiro is wobbling off into the sunset this summer. Gonna miss him on Monday?
Not really, no. I'm disappointed with his performances a lot lately. First season, done all right. I mean, the cup final, he was coming up with some good goals as well. And I thought, okay, this guy's all right. And I remember getting into arguments with people saying, oh, because he was really established, came with a high stock, didn't he, coming from Real Madrid as a player. Always felt he was a bit on the chubby side, just looked that way. But I thought, okay, clearly he's just got, he's fit enough to play football. He can do his job. But this season, it's been really disappointing. Sorry, let me rewind to last season. What got me is like a couple of suspensions, red cards, a bit reckless. Remember the one where he grabbed Will Hughes, apparently by the neck, and he got sent.
Oh yeah,
that one. And there was a couple of slide challenges as well, which he shouldn't be doing. He's supposed to be experienced. Shouldn't be diving in like he does. You expect that from young players to be sort of sliding in and mistiming tackles, but he does that at his age, maybe because he's off the pace. That's the allegations being set on him. So I think.
Do you remember his debut on Monday against Southampton?
I was at Southampton. No,
he did a slide tackle within 10 seconds. Okay. He basically came sliding onto the pitch. It's incredible.
All right, so I think it's time. Maybe I think we really do think we need to move him on because he's on a big wage. There's a sort of like responsibility. We have to play him, and I just think you're stopping other players if there's someone in the reserves or the youth team or someone who want to sign to come in. I feel can do a better job than him. But granted, though, he is a good player. I'm not disrespecting him as a player. I just think that his time at United needs to come to an end because this season he hasn't produced, and he needs to go off into the sunset and go to like Saudi or America, MLS, and play his football, enjoy his football. It's too rough and tumble for him. It's a young man's game these days, and he's looking mighty old at his age.
I agree. I mean, a lot of people have always said that I'm anti Casemiro because from the start I said that the way he was playing, you can't do that in central midfield. You can't be sliding around. You can't give the ball away that much. But the man won us a trophy, so I'm always going to think of him fondly. The same way I still think of Lingard with a bit of affection because of the FA Cup.
Yeah.
You can't player that wins you a trophy. Like those are moments I share with my family and stuff like that, and so they're important. I think that the problem is that Casemiro is, because of his mobility and things like that, he's for a mid-block team. It's football's kind of got away now, and you see the midfielders you have. Casemiro isn't there, but he's never down tools, and I think he's been a good presence to have around the club. Like, so I wish him all the best, and I hope one day he can come back to Old Trafford and get the same reception he did when he was strolling around hugging Roy Keane at the start, because that was really fun when Casemiro turned up. Now, Damien is saying, love Man United, but painful to watch because we're a basketball team at the moment with a delusional manager. Steph is telling us we got 15 likes. Thank you very much, Steph. And Yale is in Wilson's boat here. That's DK Wilson to you, Yale. I never liked the taste of alcohol. Bought a can of cider. I had that can for 15 hours. The cider was beside himself. Time for young players to admit what they have done and speak to their managers. Oh, I don't know, Simon. I've never been a fan of your manager as your dad, as it were. They should be your football dad, and they should guide you on football, not about how to use the bloody internet. George, wouldn't be surprised if one of these in the know accounts on Twitter is run by Luke Shaw. Okay. Rushmanu. So the relationship between the fans and the players, it's not good, to be honest. As soon as we go goal down, lots of moaning and lots of infighting between fans at times. Been like this all season. And I think Andy, Tate and Stuart have told us very similar things, that like even the match-going fans are fragmented, and that in particular Rashford and McTominay are the ones getting pelters, which is a shame as they're academy graduates. The bugger's been injured so much, he's got more than enough time to run an ITK account. But look, Luke Shaw doesn't like running. I'll tell you that.
I'll tell you something, though. Talking about accounts and that kind of thing. But when you start to excel, people start to spreadsheet.
Very good. That's some Microsoft Office jokes for you there. Nice. That is your best ever joke for Monday. That's your best ever joke.
Thank you.
Is that your follow-up, or was that just off the cuff?
Carry on. Let's continue anyway.
That was brilliant.
Thank you.
Damien Walsh, Frimpong, excellent player. PSG have also said they don't want Rashford. Ooh,
yeah.
Okay.
I heard that, yeah.
Okay. Man United have sold tickets, Premier League and European ties to away fans inside the United stands. We are not happy, pissball by the club. And this is, I mean, the one that comes to mind is Galatasaray, in it, where like they tore a banner down. They were invading VIP areas and things, like terrible from the football club. And I don't like I've never liked the way United have treated the fans all the way back to the start of the 2000s, when my family sort of gave up its season ticket. They never treat us like family. They treat us like we're an issue, that we're a problem. More policemen at away matches. Well, okay. Varane is also on the list of big names to go. Hope you're good from Hydro. Damien is saying that United are sending him emails to pay for next season's membership already. They're beggy, aren't they? Cole Palmer level with Haaland for top scorer. Wow, okay. He's got 4 goals tonight. Which
well
is
done, young man.
Yeah.
You know what? He reminds me so much of Chris Waddle. He's just a languid style, a left foot. He can, goes past people just with a little drop of a shoulder, like I did yesterday. But yeah, it's a great little player. So Cole Palmer, man, big up to him. It wasn't so long ago. I was watching him. I was so impressed with him because I didn't see him for City. He wasn't playing for City. It was about 2-3 seasons ago. In the under-21s, he was playing with Ghana in midfield. And the midfield three, it was Conor Gallagher, Ghana, our boy Ghana, and Palmer in the midfield three. And I was so impressed with him back then. And I was thinking those three will go on to do great things. Conor Gallagher's playing for Chelsea now.
He's a good player.
Yeah, good guy. Palmer obviously is doing magic things for Chelsea, but our Ghana has just gone back. This just shows once again how we are sort of killing players. and why players like Bellingham don't want to come to us, because there's something wrong with our club inherently, that players like Garner, who was on level terms with these guys and the under-21s, is now struggling to get a game at Everton.
Yeah, I mean, Cole Palmer's related to Andy Tate as well, that he told us about the other day. Like, I personally think that Palmer's, like, I do wonder about his work rate off the ball, like, because you have to look at a player and think, why doesn't Pep want them, like, and stuff like that. And I do think that he could improve a bit of his intensity, like off the ball. Andrew is making silly jokes, but Yale's actually fallen for it. He's banned from PC World. I'll do the joke for you. My penis is the size of a spacebar on a Dell laptop. I'm banned from PC World. How did you get banned from PC World? Well, it's because he got his cock out and put it on the spacebar.
Oh, yeah, that's good. That is a good one, Andrew. Well done. Oh, shit.
All right. I've got George saying hi, Rich. Yeah, I can't see a Rich here. But hello, Rich, if you're there. All right. Last before we get on to some more.
Sorry, no. Stuff. Stop right there. Go to DK Wilson's comment, please. He's saying, Amondi, you cannot perform a little drop on the shoulder. I can see defenders being seriously fearful when they see you drop a shoulder. Let me just explain something to you. We had a game yesterday against a team that beat us 13-5 a couple of weeks ago. It was a friendly game, again, because we run out of no fixtures. And they're a very good team. They're divisions above us. I was on the sidelines. I had to get kitted up because not enough people turned up. Then a guy got injured in the second half. I came into midfield. And I'd done something magical. Because these guys, first few touches, I got into the game. They say, okay, we have to show this guy a bit of respect. Bringing down balls on my chest, controlling balls, knocking balls, playing people in, little things. And then my brother's playing defense. There was a ball scrambled in the air. And then by this point, they realized, all right, we need to be mindful of this guy. I'm not fast anymore. The ball got bounced up. I had to bring it down, and there's two guys around me. I could smell them. They wanted me. They wanted to pinch me early. And I went, because I was the way I was playing the way I was facing, pop, pop, pop all the time. By this point, I got them. And they went to sort of come and get me from side to side to stop the pass. And I just dropped the shoulder like that. I went that way and turned out, and they were both missing. And everyone, all I heard from the sideline was, oh, you know. But it was an old man's skill. It wasn't no step overs. It was just like drop and gone, you know, just into the space and start a move. I was magic yesterday. That was a beautiful move. I was in the shower today for about 5 minutes, just thinking about, you can't teach these things, you know. Magic just happens, you know. Anyway, sorry, moving on.
No, I'm on there.
I want to gloat about that.
The level you played at compared to some like essentially dog and duck football, I'd expect you to be doing that all the time. Come on.
It was good.
All right, there's a lot. Andrew has. Sorry. Hello, Rich. I was just reading Hydro's comment out. You know, like, look, he definitely got his cock out in the PC world.
Oh, God. Please.
Yeah, like, look, more jokes about men. Just more
Oh, God. Oh, Lord. These guys, let's get off that.
He got rugby tackled by security for I complete my mission. Maybe they just wanted to join in, Andrew. Like, if I saw a man doing that, I'm not rugby tackling them. I can tell you that.
People are so ungrateful these days. Like, you've got to be grateful for what you... No, you have. You've got to be grateful for what you have. Like, I've got a friend. He has, like, 2 meals a day. Eats well. He's, like, does training. He goes to the gym all the time. And he's always got guys. Well, he's really attractive. He's always got people wanting to have sex with him, you know. Mm-hmm. But then he's complaining about being in prison.
Right. I knew that this was a stupid joke. In the moment you said it.
Sorry. Oh, this is one of them shows, isn't it? Where we're just talking.
Yeah.
There's no structure today, is there?
At PC World, they have glitter on the boxes. I don't get that joke. I've got to be honest. Unless it's about, I don't know, do sex toys have glitter on them now? Let us know, Andrew. And then Rich talking about waterboarding. Interestingly enough, when I was at university, waterboarding was a punishment that we used to do if someone like made the house untidy. It's really horrible. Like, I only had it done to me for about 10 seconds, but I wouldn't recommend it. It's not a great experience, but you got to put through it. All it is a tea towel on your face and someone pours water on you. And it's honestly, it's horrible.
Is that
all right?
I can't imagine that.
What, being bad?
No, punishment. Tea towel on your face and someone pours water.
Wet tea towel on your face.
Yeah.
And then just put it on your face and then pour a pint of water or 2 pints of water onto the tea towel. Honestly, it is horrible. It's genuinely like upsetting.
Just like torture they used to use in Vietnam or something.
Like Guantanamo Bay.
Yeah.
And like, look, DK Wilson saying that's against the Geneva Convention, and it's true. But I hate a messy flat, so that was the punishment. If you mess my flat up, like, you got waterboarded, and I also had to be waterboarded a couple of times. But it really helps with cleanliness, which is next to godliness. Which you really did to get to North Korea. Yeah. Look, discipline's important. Imagine if Ten Hag was out waterboarding Garnacho for
2 I've never heard of that. I swear to God, I've never heard this waterboarding. I'm going to look it up.
Give it a go. Like, honestly, like, just do it for 5 seconds and see how you get on.
You're lying down, like looking up.
You've gone a bit Dalek-y.
I'm going to sign out and come in again. Sorry, guys.
All right. I'll just finish off the sack race stuff whilst Amonde is having a quick bit of waterboarding. So even though, like, we got Ten Hag sort of like having good PR today, we've also been linked with Tuchel and Conte and De Zerbi. Not a huge fan of any of them, to be honest, for me. And we've also been linked with a guy called Thiago Motta, who Yali brought up earlier, saying that he would love to see Motta at United, but he's a madman. 2-7-2 formation, where he rages on the sideline if the team lose the ball. I prefer a 2-7-2 formation to what we're having at the moment, because at least there's an adequate midfield there. And then bad news, everyone. Fan favourite Gareth Southgate has been ruled out by Fabrizio Romano. And I'm not sure where Fabrizio stands in the kind of tier list of journalists these days. There seems to be a bit of a backlash to him. But yeah, so I know a lot of you want Southgate, but it doesn't look like he's coming. All right, Monday, you don't want to talk about managers and sack races and things, do you?
I just want to congratulate Thiago Motta. He's done really well with Bologna. I think they're in 4th position at the moment, and working wonders with his formation on the ball. Like you said, the 2-7-2, wherever it is. I've seen it. I've looked at it a couple of times. Fair play. It's good to see teams like Leverkusen, like Bologna, like Atalanta.
Did you see Bilbao?
No, I haven't seen Bilbao. What happened with them? That's
They
your
won,
region.
Well, not really.
When you go there to the Basque region, don't you?
No, I go to Asturias. That's where like my family are from, which is same place as like Juan Mata, for example, is from the same city.
Is it north of Spain, though?
It is north of Spain, but it's
near
like,
the Basque region.
It's north left. So yeah, it's nearby.
Okay.
But like Bilbao won Copa del Rey, and I don't know. Okay. Like, I literally don't care. But they their celebration was, you know how most people do a bus tour.
Yeah.
They did a flotilla. So they were all out on the river with like brass bands on other ships and things, just going out to sea. Like it looks it's absolutely incredible. Like it was amazing. Like, do you remember in London? Like, I don't know, is it 10 years ago when we we had like the Queen's anniversary or something or other, and we had that big parade, and it rained like out on the river, but it still looked quite impressive. Does any of this ring a bell, Amondo?
Not really.
It was like the 50th anniversary of her coronation or something, and they got like literally every boat that we had and shot it down the Thames.
I don't know. All I know is that Oxford and Cambridge are always rowing on the river for some reason.
Is that a joke, Amondo?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, not a great one.
Sorry, let's move on. If it's not great, just move on, please.
All right. Well, look, Agile Beast has turned up, and he said that Amorim would be a good choice, attacking football, and is really good at breaking down low blocks. We'll have to. I mean, the thing is that I hate having to do research on other managers because we have to go like really in depth and see what they're doing. So let's wait and see who the preferred candidate is. And then Andrew is giving me some Spanish. I love you to infinity. I love you. Oh, my heart. And Damien Walsh has convinced me that I haven't succumbed to my tendencies and that we did get an extra bank holiday. Low blocks for Man United's kryptonite. This is good.
With a K. It's with a K.
Is it?
Kryptonite's with a K, yeah, but
okay, all right. Well, Monday's good. All right, I want to talk about strikers because we've got about 20 minutes. We can maybe able to go a bit longer, but all the time, people always, when we talk about transfer targets, it's always names in it. It's like Frimpong. We need to get Frimpong in. We need to get this guy in and stuff. And there's never any. Sorry?
Lucky Singh.
Yeah. Shout out to Lucky Singh. I hope you're all right out there. But whenever we talk about, we never sort of talk about profiles. A lot of people will say, oh, we need this kind of profile of player, but never really talk about what they are and stuff. So I want to do a quick bit on that tonight. And we're talking about strikers. So in the box and out of the box, what do we need? What do we need from a striker? And a lot of this is because of some stuff I saw on Twitter about Keane's Haaland comments, where Keane was talking about Haaland being a League Two player, essentially, when he isn't in the box. And it got me thinking. So, Monday, I asked you for two strikers in the Premier League that were current, and you have picked.
So one was supposed to be elite, but I don't think there's many elite strikers anymore. And one was supposed to be not so good. Is that what you said?
Well, yeah, I said, yeah, okay, let's say that.
The natural one to go for, because I thought about it and I thought, well, there's not many. I really had to struggle to think about top strikers in the league. And I tried to think of my top 5 strikers. And Haaland was in there because he scored the amount of goals, 36 goals maybe last season, and almost a goal a game. I know he's playing for a fantastic team, but I thought about, well, he's big, he's strong, he scores with his head, scores with probably, his left foot mainly. He scores volleys as well. He's got good movement within the box. He's dedicated to scoring goals. He's obsessed with goals. And he's a mentality beast as well, which strikers need to be. I think he's a very, very good striker in the Premier League. And the guy that I don't think's so good anymore is Calvert-Lewin. Not Llewellyn, is it Calvert? What's his name? Everton striker with a ponytail.
You always do this. You call him Calvin Llewellyn Bowles or something.
Yeah. What's his real name? What's his name?
I can't remember. You've confused me.
Okay. I'm talking about the ponytail.
I know you're talking about. Yeah.
Calvert-Lewin. Calvert-Lewin. All right. So I used to like him. I thought he's a bit of a handful, but he's got so many injuries, and I think he's lost a yard of pace. And that handful we used to be is less effective these days, I believe, because I've watched him a few times, and I think he keeps me managed. So you need to be a striker. You need to have something, whether extreme pace, whether it's extreme physicality, or be very small and nimble to get around defenders. You need to have something that's extreme. Look at Mbappe. He's extreme with his pace. Sorry?
Yeah, you're leading on to something I'm going to talk about.
So you have to have an attribute, I believe, that has to be exceptional to beat a unit, a back 4 or 5 with a set of different DM.
Just one. Just one.
A lot of these guys. Look at the guy in Bremer from. He's bought from a second division French side for Brentford, and I
really like him.
But he's extremely fast. He's developed his game. He's come on. But the main attribute he had will got him into the Premier League and done well in the Championship was its extreme pace. You ask any defender at that level, oh my God, we're coming up against this guy. He's extremely fast. We're gonna have to deal with him, and you have to compensate and sit back or for each striker you come up against. So there's always an attribute. Look at Shearer; he'd back into people, give you a physical war,
right? Okay,
a headache for people as well. So I think as a striker, you need to have something exceptional about you. And I think Calvert Llewellyn, whereas before his physicality was exceptional, he had decent pace. Now he's lost a bit of pace. I think he can be managed quite easily. So I don't think he's as good as he ever will be ever again. And he's someone who was in contention for England, but now I think he's not even got enough sort of his hold-up play is good, but he's not. I don't see him as a Harry Kane sort of hold-up player. Harry Kane's not as fast runner, is he? But he's got obviously good brain to go with that. So for me, Calvert Llewellyn's not so good, and Haaland, for the reasons I gave earlier, his finishing, his variety of finishing, his mentality makes him extreme.
All right, Calvert Lewin. And the other thing I'd say about Calvert Lewin is that his great season was with an insane manager. It was Ancelotti.
Oh, there you go. Wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah, Ancelotti at Everton is when he was brilliant. And I think that shows what happens, I think, when you get a really good coach. Look, everyone is just like correcting you about the spelling of about how you say Calvert Llewellyn Bowles. But George is agreeing with you where you have to have an exceptional quality to be a top player, which I don't think anyone is saying that that's like any kind of rocket science, but we're going to go through it in a minute. This is a good one from Andrew. We'll talk about him in a second. And Sesko, a serious proposition. I'll tell you what, Steph, after we've been through this, I'll ask you that because I've never seen Sesko, and he just and from what I hear, he sounds like, do you remember Luka Jovic? He sounds like a Luka Jovic regen to me, like a player who's not going to play at the top clubs, like a decent striker, but for some reason, he doesn't have the attributes we're going to look at that make you desired at a top club. Like there's players like Jonathan David in Spain, or Boniface. Yeah. And they never get their big moves. I mean, the big one for me when I was younger was there was a guy called Mario Hardel. I think he played out in Turkey.
Oh my gosh. Banged the goals at Porto. Fantastic. Yeah. And he came to Bolton, didn't he?
Yeah. Didn't do it. Yeah.
Behind that there. There's a reason for that.
Well, there was Yardelli was another one, I think. It was a Brazilian striker that used to get 40 goals a season.
That's Mario Jardel. That's who I thought.
Is that the same guy? Yeah.
Yeah.
Who went to Bolton?
Yeah, he was at Bolton.
Okay. And then Watkins is definitely a player that we can talk about. And then this is interesting from Simon. A striker could also have possible captaincy credentials. We need good leadership. Okay. First of all, I'm going to do the boring stuff, which is what you want from them in defence. All right. Which of these is the most important, you would say, Amonde? Being good at the pressing things, being good at defending set pieces, or not giving away free kicks?
I think the pressing stuff. I remember Ian Rush, one of the best strikers of the 80s, no doubt about it. Still Liverpool's top goal scorer. I don't think people realise how good he was. You stand next to him now, he's not that big, but he would press from the front and lead the defensive line from the front. So he was a nightmare for defenders. He would close you down and make bending runs and run at angles. And he's just a beast of a player. Ian Rush, for me, sort of emphasises why it's important to put the work in off the ball and start the defence from the front.
Yeah, interesting, because I would straight away think that everyone would naturally gravitate towards pressing. I don't think that pressing is the most important thing that a central striker can do. A lot of the players that you're going to mention, like your Haalands, like your Mbappes, they're just competent at pressing. They do their job and things, and normally pressing is done in wide areas, right? That's where you sort of pinch the ball. So the central striker's job in a press normally is just to block off the goalkeeper. So it's something that I wouldn't say is the most important thing. For me, it's by far set pieces. I'm of the opinion that you need a minimum of 5 aerial players in your team, right, including the goalkeeper, and that if you have a striker such as Drogba, who's brilliant at this, that is able to defend the near post successfully, that is more important than the pressing stuff. You look at as Højlund given away a penalty to Rodri because he didn't defend at a corner properly. Højlund and Rashford are dreadful at defending set pieces, and we've been punished by it all season. And I'm not saying that any of these things aren't important, but my personal bias is that I really want a striker that can clear headers, because I think it gives you the ability to play an Eriksen or something like that. And I don't think that the job that a central striker does in pressing is particularly difficult. And not giving away free kicks is just don't let don't let them out. Don't go and do something stupid that relieves pressure on the other team. So that's just the boring stuff. But I would completely understand that everyone would pick pressing first, especially after what you've seen from our team this season. All right, boring stuff out of the way. Out of the box, right? A Monday. Let's go through this. Okay, I will expand on what each of these things are, and then we'll talk about it with chat and everything. So, contesting out balls in wide areas. This is basically banging it long and a player being able to sort of shield the ball, win a free kick in a wide area, something like that. Transitions is being effective on the counter attack. You then got holding the ball up, half turns in the pockets, pinning centre halves, and their short game. All right. Do any of these need any explanation beyond me reading them out?
No. Well, I think very, really good attributes there that you've added, talking about striker. So much, isn't there, to being a good striker, having an all-round game. So if you could tick the boxes in all of these, I think I'd sign you up.
Tell me which ones are the most important, and if you can fit in like formations and things. So if you're playing Liverpool versus if you're playing Brentford versus if you're playing Manchester City, like,
okay,
do you get what I mean?
So if we're playing Man City, for example, I want someone. We're not going to have much possession. So transitions and hold up ball would be someone that's the sort of striker I'd look for. Someone who could hold up the ball and keep the ball when we can build as a team, get up the higher further up the pitch, and in transitions as well. Because obviously against Man City, you'd like when you do get the ball, you want to sort of break quickly and try to attack them. So someone who's good on transitions. So that would be maybe someone like Ollie Watkins, as we saw against Arsenal yesterday, where Arsenal scored. Well, Villa scored. Arsenal pushed up as they do, and on the transition, Ollie Watkins was up against the midfielder and burning for pace, and just naturally scored a goal. And then you got guys like Tony, Ivan Tony, who holds up the ball really well. I think that's really good, and he's got a good short game, and he brings players in as well. So if you're playing against a team like Man City, where you've not got much possession, I think those are the good attributes to have. When you're playing against I want to try and bring in the contesting out balls in wide areas.
That's Ollie Watkins, isn't it?
Yeah, he does that really well. He's so fast, and they used to say like hit him in the channels, like Graham Taylor back in the day. You know, we used to say an out ball would be hitting it into the corners, into the channels so much, and get players to run in that area. It was just like percentage play, you know. But Ollie Watkins is fantastic at that. He's all over the place, strong runner. He can lean on defenders, and it really causes he's a nightmare. It must be a nightmare to play against.
Do you remember?
So go on.
Do you remember Upper Meccano versus Rashford in Champions League?
That was this season, wasn't it?
Yeah,
that's
kind of what I'm talking. That's what I'm talking about. Is that like when a transitions? So I don't know if people remember all the stuff we did on transitions, but one of the key things in your basic transition is going out wide first to clear the centre, right? So a lot of the time when we talk about centre backs that can defend in wide areas, we're talking about this specific thing where players like Rashford will have to go out wide in order to create the space, and they've got to contest that ball. So with a defender, you want someone who's good in defending wide areas for that reason. And with a forward player, you want someone that is good contesting out balls in the wide area.
Yeah.
So it's kind of part of a transition.
Yeah, most certainly.
All right. Should we see what the comments think?
For sure.
All right. I'm going to start with Steph because she's talking about Rushy was awesome for Liverpool, first line of defence, and unbelievable goal scorer.
For real.
Right. Simon's gone on to finishing. We'll get on to finishing inside of the box, and we're going to use Ollie Watkins again as an example. Right, George, personally, I think the most important thing we should look for in players is the ability to keep the ball and make intelligent decisions. Okay. When you think of your top striker like Haaland, is that what he's about? All right. I'm not saying, by the way, that I know what I'm talking about or that this is right or wrong or stuff like that. I just think that we need to have a bit more of a conversation about what we want from a striker instead of saying good in the air, 2 good feet, and fast. Very few players who do well in this respect. Okay, yeah. And George is enjoying this. All right, Steph. Mark Hughes is the best that she's seen at holding the ball up.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Now you're talking.
Yeah. Right. Big G says 3 and 4. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. Holding the ball up. Half turns in the pockets. I thought that I put that one in because I thought that would be what everyone would say is the least important thing for a striker to be doing. But anyway, Andrew says, I find hold-up play to be very important. Good. I think we're thinking a bit more about what we want from our strikers. And Steph saying holding up the B. Holding up the B. Holding the ball up is key. And Andy wants strikers to bring in the midfielders and wingers. All right. So he wants a player who links play. Good. And then anything here? Shout out to Realist Cavs. He's talking about Harry Kane. George doesn't consider Haaland a top forward. He might be a phenomenal goal scorer, but his overall gameplay is relatively poor. Interesting. All right. Amonde, have you said what the most important things here are yet?
Yeah, I just did.
All right.
Against certain teams, like I said, when we play Man City, I thought the transitions and hold up the ball would be a decent attribute to have.
Yeah, for me, I really like pinning centre halves. Like, I think that strikers, they need so much discipline in today's game because they're not, they're meant to be applying the final finish. They're not on the ball as much as you would want and things. So I want discipline from them, and holding up the ball is crucial. Like, if you give it to a striker, they can't be losing it. All right, more fun stuff in the box. Right, this is where the fun happens, where the magic happens. I've got a couple of things here: duels and heading, moving players and contesting space. And okay, I'll go through these after I've read them out. Finding space, separation, passing. All right, passing is the obvious one. It's how well that they use the ball in the box in relation to their teammates. That could be like dropping it back outside the box, someone running in to shoot, etc. But right, duels and heading, that's obvious. But moving players, all right. Because I'm now playing like at a much lower level than I used to, I find that a lot of the strikers I play with, they want to score goals that anyone could score, right? They want to be completely unmarked, have the perfect ball, and put it into the net. What they never do is they never move their players. So, Amonde, you're an absolute rock, right? Or at least you're very big. Have you ever? Do you remember playing against a player who moved you about in the box?
Yeah. You know what? I've come up against some really good strikers, and it's not just about I can deal with really good striker. When in my heyday, power and pace, I can match most of these guys. What really bothered me was when they get on my blind side, I'm watching the play, or I'm trying to keep an eye on them, and when the ball comes in, suddenly I've lost them just at that split second, and they've got around me, and I'm annoyed because they've gone and scored a goal. It's happened to me a few times, but I've nearly cried, because it's my responsibility. And these sort of guys, a guy called Aaron Bernard, shout out to him because he's playing for our team now. But I used to have duels with him. Really good player, intelligent player. Physically, it was a good battle. I had him on pace, but he always used to score goals against me because he was talented in the box. He'd be able to sort of drop a shoulder, go one way, peel off me, get the other side, and get on my backside and score a goal. Or, shape to shoot and, jockey me to the point where other players would come in and they'd roll someone in to get on a shot on goal. So those are the players that really annoyed me. So a lot of physical defenders want to be able to sort of battle you, beat you physically, run with you in wide areas, that kind of thing. But it's in the box, like you're saying here, this section here, which is crucial. That's where, like you said, the magic happens, and you have to be a special player. Some people are gifted and really born with that sort of ability to get away from the defender. And those are sort of strikers that I love to watch, but I hate to play against.
Yeah, and I'll tell you the type of striker that I love to play with is the ones that attack space. I'm trying to think at United. Obviously, Ronaldo, Cavani. This season, actually, it's McTominay who's probably the best at it. Which is that when I watch Rasmus Højlund play, I don't think that Rasmus Højlund is there yet. I'm not saying he's going to be there, but I don't think he's there yet for a couple of reasons. And my biggest one is that he doesn't attack space correctly. That, like, it's some people say it's having a nose for goal and things like that, but it's positioning yourself so that there's an area of space you can attack and dominating it as you move into it. I don't see that from our boy Rasmus Højlund. And when you're playing like in midfield, despite what people think, you actually have to do a lot of crossing, especially from the half space. When in the football that I played, and sometimes you put a ball into an area and you expect your striker to go and like do something with it. Like, you identify the space. He should have identified the space. You put quality in, and you hope that he can do something with that. And now at the level that I play at, or I don't play anymore, I've been ruled out for the season. If I put a ball into that area there, none of them run for it. None of them do anything. They do what Rasmus Højlund does. They just want a tap in. And then space, separation, space to shoot. This is where I want to bring in Ollie Watkins. Watkins hit the post and he scored at the weekend. And with separation, this is the skill that I mean, of being able to get your shot off controlled from a side. So Sinisterra, I think it was against us at Bournemouth. Do you remember they had a lot of shots across the keeper, like from good areas? They didn't have the ball in the correct place, basically, to have a clean contact and things like that. And you look at someone like Haaland, he will always like separate the ball from his man so that he's able to hit it with that short backlift. And this, to me, is basically what finishing is, because a lot of goals that are scored, anyone can score them. Like a cutback or something like that. I'm talking about them goals where you've got to sort of keep a defender off you, have the ball protected, but still have it in a position to be able to strike it cleanly with power and accuracy. All right. So with all that in mind, Amonde, talk to me about the exceptional abilities, like of the stuff here that you need to be really, really good at to play at a top Premier League club against low blocks.
Things in the box, separation to find space, finding space in the box to produce a goal. I think those are the important ones against a low block, because obviously there'll be a lot of players around you, so you need to be sort of peeling off people. And not just that, you need to be in partnerships. There's a goal that I love to bits. You mentioned obviously the attributes to have against certain setups. So I remember we were playing Brentford a couple of years ago. Ronaldo was in the team, and Elanga was there as well. And Ronaldo wasn't getting any joy because we were pumping balls to him, and he was getting eaten up by Pinnock and the two other big units there.
Yeah.
And you can tell he's getting frustrated. So you can see his brain was ticking all the time. How am I going to create space against this? Because they were sitting back. We did have the game back in those days. We were able to sort of dominate. And they were sitting back near their goal line. And Ronaldo was getting a really frustrating time because he wasn't getting the service like he was getting the previous clubs, Juve and Real Madrid. And so what happened is Elanga ran into his space. Ronaldo peeled out of the space, and he was able to get, because he shuffled the defenders around, he was able to get space to get a shot off and score a goal. And I really sort of thought about that. For wow, you've done that yourself. You've used someone else's run, exploited that where defenders been distracted to create that space for yourself. So those points you put up there are really good. But I just think it's like you need to use other players as well to get space. So you want Elanga, thank God for him, made a good run, which enabled Ronaldo to get away from his marker, to get enough time to get a shot off, and that's finding space for himself. I love that goal.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. And also, I wanted to ask Andrew something, actually. So you brought up Gabby Jesus, who I think this stuff, Jesus is really, really good. Like, his hold-up play is very underrated, and he's good at contesting. It's when
interesting, though, isn't it, with him? Like with Mark Hughes, they don't score many goals, but we're talking about what great attributes they have, and a complete game of being a good striker.
Yeah, but Hughes definitely had more than Jesus in the box. Certainly with like acrobatics, as it were, like the sort of the headers and the volleys that he could get are beyond most players, to be honest. But with Jesus, I find that he struggles with all of these things, and against like teams that are mid blocking and low blocking, I find that Jesus isn't great when you get into the box. And I think that Kai Havertz actually is probably better at all of this stuff than Jesus, which is why they went for him. Whereas like Kai Havertz, because he's so tall and he's quite good at heading and all these different things. I'm not saying that he's a brilliant player, but I think that this is probably why Arsenal went for a player like that. Whereas someone like Darwin Nunez, who I think Steph brought up, he's good at a lot of this stuff, and he should be good at a lot of this stuff in the box. So I just, so when you sort of think of Benjamin Sesko, Osimhen, and all these players, I think it's important to like look at the whole picture. But we need to do the comments. Haaland being able to create something out of nothing if his team's in a hole. I can remember Haaland against Everton. Was it Jared Brantwaite? Absolutely monstered him on the transition out of the box. Like, beat him up like a little schoolboy. Haaland occupies the centre-backs too much. He needs to find space and get unmarked. Why and when?
Pep wasn't complaining the other day when they played in the Champions League. He was really because he's getting man-marked by Rudiger, wasn't he? And people say, "Oh, Rudiger's taking him out of the game," but really, he was pinning Rudiger and allowing other players to do their thing. So they scored 3 goals. Because Haaland didn't score one doesn't mean he had a bad game. This was from Pep himself, so, and I do agree with him.
Yeah, and like, look, George here is saying something else, which is something that I'm not a huge fan of, because he's saying he's like anonymous when City are in possession. But the thing is there's so much going off the ball, right? That just because you're not touching the ball doesn't mean you're contributing to a football match. Like, the time and space that other players have, like when a Monday was talking about Ronaldo scoring because of Elanga's movement, like you can contribute tremendously off the ball. And just because you don't see a guy receiving the ball, it doesn't mean that they're ghosting at all. Like, only one player can be on the ball like at any given time in the match, and you can't tell me that the other 21 men on the pitch are ghosting. And then, managed to bring away to find McTominay in. But it's just the contrast between McTominay's goal at Chelsea, where like McTominay got in front of Rasmus Højlund to score the goal because he was attacking the space better, whereas Højlund was quite static. We haven't really seen Højlund arriving to meet something. We normally just see him like crying with his hands out, pointing to where he wanted the ball played, which is why I don't think he's a top striker. Stuff like that. DK Wilson, I would agree with you in those 1v1 situations. Right, what is this? Okay. Steph is talking about Cavani passing the ball into the net in terms of finishing, but it's also because he's created that space, hasn't he, of his movements. Like, we can always remember Cavani on the sort of left-hand side of the penalty area, creating an angle for himself where he can go near post or he can go far post. Like, awesome player. I loved Cavani. Any striker that holds Ruud van Nistelrooy characteristics and qualities, that's the perfect type of striker for me, or Van Persie. But they were different kind of strikers, weren't they, Big G? Like, would they occupy the same positions? Did they score their goals the same way? Did they trouble defences the same way? We got 27 likes.
That's amazing.
Getting told off about from Dora. We've got
Dora.
Kate Cadet, lovely to see you. He's very disappointed with Manchester United at the moment. He's saying our players don't know how to play with a number 9. Isaac is probably one of the most underrated strikers in the Premier League at the moment for all-round ability. Yet, is Isaac going to get a move to a club competing for the Premier League? Right? And if so, why? And if he doesn't, why not? And use the attributes here. And then if Bruno played out-and-out number 10 role properly instead of the 3 role currently, Højlund would be a better player. All right. And lastly, I've linked the physical stuff. Which one, Amonde, do you think is the... If you had to rate one strength here for a striker, which one would you pick? And why?
As a defender, I think it's going to be pace for me, because no matter what, you could be terrible. Look at Mbeumo thing. He's rapid, and you'd give you worries. Any defender worries because you don't want him burning past you and you're struggling to get back. So even if he gets a one-on-one on goal, he might miss because he's not that good. But the pace alone is an attribute. Look at Mbappe. Now this might be a bit controversial, what I'm about to say.
Oh no,
I don't agree with it totally. Michael Owen to me is one of the greatest English strikers ever. When on his heyday, he was amazing. He was so rapid when he was young. And remember, he had a hot streak when he was young. He got a Ballon d'Or at maybe at 21, 22 years old.
Yeah,
it's crazy. But his main attribute then was pace. And I always said, take away his pace, what has he got? But I had to eat my words because he went to Real Madrid, learned a lot out there. His pace kind of went. He was still a bit explosive and he could get away. But he proved to me to be a very good finisher as well. So he did have more to his game after all. But I just think pace is something that made him electric when he was on fire as a youth, and what got him goals and got him away from defenders. Go look at his goals that he scored when he was at Liverpool. And when he was winning things, or with a treble, or
very impressed in the FA Cup final when he scored 2 goals on his left foot.
But the first goal was in the box, wasn't it? He scored one, running away. The second goal was pace, getting away, and then a lovely finish into the corner against David Seaman. But the first goal was a volley in the box, so he showed variety, and he can also score with his head. So I think I was questioning him at the time when he was young about take away his pace. What has he got? But he showed me he's got a lot to his game as well. He's a very good finisher. And there was an argument they had on a chat show recently. I think it was with Simon Jordan, where I think his Fowler said he was better than Michael Owen, based on him being a better finisher. But I'm starting to think Michael Owen doesn't get his dues because he had more than pace. So for me, the answer to the question, I think pace as a defender, obviously everyone's different. As a defender, I think pace would be the thing that would be most scary for me.
I'll answer this one. Vardy, Fowler, or Owen?
I think Fowler, for me, his variety of finishing is amazing.
Who's the slowest?
The slowest is Fowler.
Okay. Who are the 2 top leading goal scorers in the Premier League of all time?
Andy Cole and Alan Shearer?
Kane and Shearer.
Oh, is it Kane now? Okay, yeah.
Would you say they had pace?
No, they didn't have pace. That's true. I see where you're going there. You have really good points.
Rashford has pace, but he's pocketed every week.
Yep.
Seems fair enough. And then I will give it to George. Like, George loves talking about pace, and I'm not poo-pooing anyone who thinks that pace is incredibly important, because, like, I remember a particular goal that Owen scored for Liverpool against Newcastle, and I think he scored a lot, and he just dribbled all the way through it. And I can remember Henry scoring a goal against Real Madrid where he ran through all of them. But the one that I would go for most is strength. Like, because I think this is what separates Kane and Shearer from a lot of players. And I think that the Henry goal in the Bernabeu was more about strength than pace. I think that a strong striker who is able to compete with centre forwards, hold the ball up, and is able to use their body to maintain the separation to get their strike off is the key thing for me. When we look earlier on, forgive me, I can't remember who it was talking about breaking down a low block. You don't break a low block down with physical pace. You do you? Like, so
no.
Haaland, I think if you take away, I think that his strength is more important than his pace.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
yeah.
Like,
yeah.
I think that, like, when you look at players that were good strikers, like really top strikers, like Jermaine Defoe, for example, I don't think Jermaine Defoe was strong enough to get on to the next level, and he was kept out of the team by Emil Heskey, who had the strength. Like, for me, I think that strength. Right, Andrew's bringing out Bale versus Barca, the famous goal in Copa del Rey where he's like
ran off the pitch.
Yeah, that's in a wide area. Like, that's different. Like, and also that is incredible pace. Who thought that Prince Charles's son would be a multiple, a multiple one? And then Aguero, a strong player. I think Aguero was a strong player. I think that his strength was more than his speed. For me, like, he was low center of gravity, imbalanced, and things like that. If I had to rate which was higher between Aguero's pace and strength, I would pick strength. Am I being silly there, Amonde? Like, but
no. He's a really thick set guy, low center of gravity. He can be able to roll defenders in tight areas. But the pace thing is, when we're talking pace, obviously in a low block, it's going to be difficult. But you need to have explosiveness to get away from things. So all these attributes we're talking about here, it's about using your brain as well. Pace upstairs to say, because these players get older and not
Sheringham.
Yeah, you need to be able to say, right, I'm wise enough now. Gary Lineker is a prime example. I thought he was fantastic. He was, if you can look at him, the FA Cup final, say 86.
Was he fast?
So yeah, he was rapid. Look at him in 986 against Everton. He got past Alan Hansen, who's probably one of the quickest, with pace, and got 1-on-1 and scored a goal. Okay, that showed he's got the pace, explosiveness. Then later on in his career, when he lost a bit of pace, he was still scoring goals. And 4 years later, 1990, he scored 4 or 5 goals in the World Cup, and the one against Germany, for example, against Jurgen Kohler, when Paul Parker knocked the ball in. That wasn't about pace. That was just about experience and finding the yard to get away from the defender, 2 great defenders, and slot it with his left foot, take it through with his right, hit it into his left foot, and slot it in the corner. That shows all-round game. So I just think the pace comes from upstairs a bit when you get older and wiser.
All right. Well, I think that what that goes back to actually is finding an attack in space, like, because what that gives you is, I often talk about Casemiro, right? About how I think his big issue is that he doesn't know the distances anymore. Because when you're sort of defending, you want to like slow down, close down, and show down. And that's close down the space, slow down so that you're not just going to get the ball not past you, and then you kind of initiate the duel. With a striker, the thing is that the faster you are, you've got a bigger distance, so you can leave a bit more space. And from what you're talking about with Gary, It sounds to me that like Gary Lineker kind of instinctively knew how fast he was and how much distance he would need in order to sort of get through. So that's that. Even though you could say that that goal is about pace, it's about using your pace correctly. And when we look at someone like Marcus Rashford, is Rashford using his pace correctly? Is Højlund using his pace correctly?
Good shout. Good shout.
Do you know? Do you know what I mean?
Bath time. You know what? It's really good because like, you're giving us the answers. It's like being at uni, isn't it? You're giving us the answers, but we have to sort of think about this. And when we sort of, this is a great topic, by the way. I'm really enjoying this. It's like I'm drooling out here. You're so true what you're saying about Rashford and Højlund as well. How they need to improve. I wish they would be watching this show because the complete striker with all the attributes you're putting up there has to have a bit of everything or be exceptional at a few of those things.
Yeah,
and it's really interesting. And like, I thought I was on a winner when I said pace, but like you said, you
that's a defender. That's because of how you have to set up.
Yeah, but you kind of trumped me when you talked about Kane and Shearer being the two top goal scorers in the Premier League, whatever. But yeah, this is a really good topic. I just want to say that, by the way.
And then, all right, I'm going to take Messi out of this because Messi doesn't really have any of these, with the exception of incredible acceleration. But Cristiano Ronaldo, this is Ronaldo. All of this is Ronaldo. Everything. Right now, George has been talking about endurance. I like this as well. Like endurance is the ability to sort of harness all of these and to keep going and things like that. Obviously, height, because there are plenty of small height comes out of it. I think that in modern football against low blocks, height's important because what you're going to be looking for is to create overloads at the back post. You're going to be looking to sort of stretch the defense, and you're going to be looking for a player to have a run on a man and try and get there. And I think that height isn't just about like heading the ball. It's about your kind of like, if you think of like your wingspan, think about Thierry Henry. He had very long legs. Patrick Vieira, very long legs. And it allowed them to be able to sort of get on the end of more of stuff. So the taller you are, the more opportunity you have to score a goal just off like surface area. Pace, there are plenty of slow players who do well, yeah. Lewandowski, I'm going to be honest, DK Wilson, I haven't seen a lot of Lewandowski, but I watched him against PSG and I was very impressed with his strength, his hold-up play. And he reminded me a little bit of Ronaldo, where he would hold the ball off, lay it to a winger, and then absolutely drive into the box, like almost demanding that a cross goes in. And I really like that from a striker. And once again, when we talk about Højlund, can anyone tell me at any point in this season where you've seen Højlund take a ball, lay it off to Rashford or Antony, and then make a run that demands the ball played into them, into the box? I haven't, but I might be wrong there. I don't know what this is. What about a hoedown, Darius? I'll have a hoedown with you anytime that you want, Andrew. I love a dance. Teddy and Berbatov, great examples of strikers that are better than what we have now. Neither had pace. It was more, if we go back to in the box, they were more about finding the space and even passing, actually. They're more about finding the space or putting themselves in areas where they could use their technique to produce a finish that you wouldn't be worried about. Like, if you think about the Sheringham corner.
Good call there with that one, Damien, and a good response there as well, Darius. Yeah, I agree. Totally agree with that.
All right. Thank you for coming in and your contribution, Andy. Caked it. I think with Rashford, he's not using his brain correctly. Man United can't win any major title or compete with the elites with Rashford being the spare head. All right. So Rashford isn't a good enough forward to win you a league. All right. And that's something that Rasmus must develop. So when we go back on Monday to out of the box and in the box stuff, has anything changed for you?
Regarding
what you think is more important or less important now that we've talked about it?
I think they're all important. It's just my personal thing
Yeah.
to say. A pace is a scary attribute when you're up against players. You know, that's just my thing. But strength, maybe because I'm 6'5", I'm like big and strong when I was playing. So strength was never really an issue for me. I felt that I could match people for strength. I've just explained like earlier on how the kind of players I had problems with, and they were players who could sort of get away, find that space from me, you know, get away from me and be smart in the box. Outside of the box, hold up play, I could match them. Running in the channels, I could match them. So I still think pace, though, is the most scary thing for any defender. And obviously, when you're in a low block, it can still kind of be effective, but less effective. And that's where strength kind of comes in as well, because if it ball's played in, you know, you can't out muscle someone. You see, like you mentioned, Haaland, was it with Braithwaite or
Braithwaite?
Completely managed him. It's really difficult like that. So, as a defender, you got to be able to deal with all of these attributes. And if you were asked which one is the most frightening, I think it would be pace over strength. But I think it's just a really good topic. And I'm loving all the comments. I'm loving your insight as well. I think it's great. Striking, there's a lot more complex than I initially thought. And I would say, I just still, when I look back when I was growing up, the amount of strikers that there were, I thought they were amazing. But I just think, looking around now, I don't know if there's that good quality strikers out there in world football.
I think, right, it's because we've moved away from double striker formations. I saw someone the other day talking about Lautaro Martinez. He plays in a 2 with Inter Milan. He's someone, he's someone that is linked, but he's always someone fans want. He's never linked to a big club, and I think it's because in the box he's not elite at all these things by himself. Right. Whereas Haaland, who might not be as technically competent, they might not be able to contribute and build up play and things. He is elite at all these things except for passing. And even then, like, Haaland passes the ball in the box more than you would think.
Yeah.
Like, and stuff like that. So not only did we have more strikers to choose from in 2 striker systems, like, you know, famously the Euro 96 squad, like Ferdinand didn't go, and like you look at all the strikers there, because there's only one place in a team now for a striker, it's going to drop down. And because football is played differently, teams are much more aggressive out of possession. The out of the box stuff is more important to mid-table teams than the in the box stuff, right? Which is why a player like Tony is so interesting, because he's good at both of them, and Tony is linked to top teams, whereas Calvert-Lewin, he isn't linked to top teams. Like Danny Ings, no longer linked to top teams. Yeah. Ollie Watkins, top teams like him. Isaac, not linked to top teams. And you've got to ask yourself, what is it that the players linked to top teams, like consistently, what is it that they have that others don't have? So everyone seems to at the moment want a player like Benjamin Sesko or the guy at Lille, Jonathan David, to come to the club. But those are more fan signings than like the football club looking at them. So you have to think, what is it? What is it that's separating them? What are people on the pitch and managing the club looking for?
Yeah.
Like, what are they putting that's more important? And as we're coming up to transfer season, I think that it's really good to like look at these ideas and think what are the strikers good at? What will they be good at? You know, what formations are they good at and stuff. So
can you send me these in and outside box attributes after the show, please? I I think they're useful when I'm sort of judging a player now. I'm going to use these things to judge any kind of striker coming through, because we signed Haaland for £70 million, and apparently he was scouted, and and I'm sure the scouts at this top level would be assessing a player on a lot of these attributes as a good striker. And
he's
even
got
though he
all
didn't have
those
the
physical ones. He's got all of those physical ones.
Yeah.
Darwin Nunez, wanted by everyone. He's got all of these physical ones.
True.
Like, and Rasmus, he went for 70 million. All these other guys, Sesko, Boniface, Jonathan Lille, all these sort of French and German strikers like that we're linked to, none of them ever bloody move. They're like Mario Yardel. Like, great goal record, but never went to a top club. And you've got to ask yourself why. And then you get that boy from Stoke. What I can't remember his name, but he's been at PSG. He's been at Bayern Munich.
Yeah, Chuchumende.
Yeah, Choupo-Moting or something.
Yeah.
Why is he getting passed around the top clubs? And why are they all after him?
Because the PowerPoint you got up now.
Yeah. But anyway, Højlund does need, this is from Agile Beast, Højlund does need to improve his ability to find space in the box, but some of his Atalanta goals have demonstrated that, he has an understanding of it. But you've got to step up as the Manchester United striker, certainly in the Premier League, because you're going to be playing against different types of defence. All right, George is talking about, unfortunately in sport, the nature of a massive pitch means that athleticism is such a bonus. Is it a bonus, though, George, or is it a prerequisite now? This is a good point. Top strikers also create their own chances, not all about service. And I think we let Rasmus Højlund off a lot for saying that he gets no service, because I don't think he's anywhere near good enough outside of the box.
I think I'd say there's a lot of strike. There's a guy called Billy Sharp. I think he played for Sheffield United, maybe. He's got rounds at these lower league clubs. But for me, he's one of the best finishers in English football. He's always been one of the best finishers, but he lacked what you're saying here on the physical side of things, maybe at the top level. But he put him in the Championship, one of the best finishers, probably scored more goals than Ollie Watkins did in the Championship.
Yeah.
Maybe Tony. But at the top level, he didn't have the physical pace, strength, power, height, endurance to do it at that kind of elite kind of level of the Premiership. But he was amazing. Left foot, right foot, heading, could do it all. Yeah,
like sort of Jimmy Greaves, I think, and Brian Clough are older players that are always sort of brought up as that. But I think, oh God, we've done. It's an eye test night, so it doesn't really matter. Kate Cadet, why are United not playing off Højlund more? Why are they not giving to him when his back's to goal? Why are they not finding him when he makes them run? Do they trust him? I think that's quite interesting, because I think that Højlund's, I think a lot of his stuff needs to improve. And I think we should be looking at him the same way that we look at Darwin Nunez, where it's a player where if he can just get some basics, pull it together and play with a bit less emotion, you've got a handful. You've got a real handful there. And there is United scouts, as much as people say are useless and things like that, we've identified a hell of a lot of good players over the years, like a hell of a lot. People, I'll give you another example, but this is to do more with midfield. People used to cream themselves about Bissouma and Didi and would like poo-poo the idea of Declan Rice, maybe 3 or 4 years ago. Declan Rice was the one that we were always trying to get. And look where Declan Rice has turned up. And look where those other players, look where they play, look how they play, if they play. Like, I think it's really important as a fan channel and as a fan community that we begin to try and find why we're getting linked to certain players. Like, why did we want Anthony over Rafinha? Stuff like this. Like, why did we go for Nunez? Why did we buy Højlund? But anyway, I think unless anyone has anything interesting or exciting to say, we're going to call it here.
I think it's been a really good show. I think there's a lot of the comments as well. You tell the people in the comments have really enjoyed it as well, because strikers, everyone wants to be a striker. It's the glory position, and you don't realize how difficult it is to be able to sort of be the total package, really, and at the top level. And when you asked me backstage guys in the comments, half time before the show, he asked me and Mr. B, name me one.
Mr. B.
Yeah, big up Mr. B. He said, name a top striker in the league and name someone who's not so good. And I really had to wrap my brains. I don't know about you guys in the comments, but I know we talked about Haaland. He's the obvious one, but I still think, you know, I'm looking around world football. He's so different to Mbappe. Those are the two guys that we say are the best at the moment. But I just think they're not complete. I don't think they're complete totally. And I want to see better strikers being produced in the next coming years. But like you said, bath time, I totally agree. So I want you to give me these PowerPoints.
I'll give them to you.
Because I want the people coming through now, I will be judging them on these attributes from now on.
Should we do this for midfielders next week? And then
please.
You can help me. You
can
help me
with different kind of attributes. But yeah, I found this really interesting.
Yeah. All right. Well, I want to thank everyone that has popped in. And look, we got Michael. You're late, Michael. This wouldn't be a convo if Højlund was in City, Liverpool, or a Chelsea team. I think it would, because we haven't talked about Nicholas Jackson, and we haven't talked. We've talked about Darwin Núñez and things like that, and we've talked about Haaland. So if Højlund was playing for Liverpool, for any of those teams, we'd still be talking about it, because he's a player that has all these attributes, the physical ones, but it's here in the box and here outside of the box where he struggles, in the same way that your boy Jackson does as well. And I think that Isaac would also struggle a lot at these teams. But anyway, thank you all so much for coming. I don't know what we're doing this week.
Well, tomorrow I've got a Birmingham City fan. I know there's a lot of Brummies, Man United Brummies in the group. Matt Bassett, Vincent as well. A few Brummies there. But I've got a Brummie on, a Birmingham City fan, doing a quiz tomorrow. So guys, come and support the show. It's going to be on, I know Champions League is on tomorrow, so we're going to go about 7 o'clock.
Yeah, and boo anyone with any connections, Birmingham City, another club that turned me down. Good night, everyone.